The old mine gaped before us, a jagged wound in the earth. A maw of darkness, hungry to swallow the light. A chill wind whistled through the rotting timbers that marked the entrance. It whispered secrets of the horrors that lay within. We were fools to go in, drawn by legends and whispers of forgotten gold, blinded by our youthful arrogance. We never considered the true cost. The air grew heavy as we crossed the threshold. The sunlight behind us seemed to retreat, afraid to follow. We were on our own now, lost in the belly of the beast. The mine shaft twisted and turned, a labyrinth of darkness. Our lanterns cast flickering shadows that danced with every gust of wind. The air hung thick with the smell of damp earth and something else, something metallic and ancient. "Did you hear that?" Mark whispered, his voice tight with tension. I strained my ears, hearing only the drip, drip of water. "Hear what?" A voice, he breathed, whispering. I shook my head, trying to ignore the prickling sensation on the back of my neck. "It's just the wind." But even as I spoke, I couldn't shake the feeling that we were being watched, that the darkness itself held its breath, observing our every move. Deeper we ventured, the darkness pressing in like a suffocating blanket. The air grew colder, biting at any exposed skin. Our breath plumed before us, ghostly apparitions in the suffocating gloom. The silence was broken only by the crunch of our boots on the uneven ground. Each step seemed to echo through the tunnels, amplified by the oppressive silence. Suddenly, my lantern sputtered, the flame shrinking to a feeble flicker. Panic flared in my chest, a cold fist squeezing my heart. "What's wrong?" John's voice, sharp with alarm, cut through the darkness. "My light, IT, dying," I stammered, shaking the lantern uselessly. The flame dwindled further, threatening to plunge us into absolute darkness. Just as the last ember of light threatened to die, a glint in the distance caught my eye, a faint, ethereal glow emanating from the depths of the tunnel ahead. "Look!" I pointed, hope surging through me. "There's something up ahead." We stumbled towards the light, our pace quickening, fueled by a desperate need to escape the encroaching darkness. As we drew closer, the glow intensified, revealing a cavernous chamber ahead. And in the center of that chamber, bathed in an unnatural green light, stood a massive moss-covered structure. Its surface was etched with strange symbols, ancient and unsettling. Section 5, The Weight of Shadows. A sense of dread washed over me, cold and suffocating. It was as if the very air around me had turned into a heavy, oppressive blanket, making it hard to breathe. Every step I took felt like wading through a thick, invisible fog that clung to my skin and weighed down my spirit. The air in the chamber was thick with an almost tangible sense of malice. It was as though the walls themselves were exuding a dark energy, a malevolent force that seeped into my bones and made my heart race with an unnameable fear. The shadows seemed to writhe and twist as if alive. They danced on the walls in a grotesque ballet, their movements erratic and unsettling. What is this place, I wondered, my mind racing to make sense of the surreal and terrifying scene before me. John whispered, his voice hushed with awe and fear. "Do you feel that?" he asked, his eyes wide and filled with a mixture of wonder and terror. "It's like the shadows are watching us, waiting for something." I shook my head, unable to speak. My throat felt tight and my mouth was dry. The words I wanted to say were trapped inside me, held back by the overwhelming sense of dread that had taken hold of my entire being. The symbols on the structure seemed to burn into my retinas, their meaning just beyond my grasp. They glowed with an eerie light, pulsating as if alive, and I felt a strange compulsion to reach out and touch them, even though I knew it would be a terrible mistake. The ground beneath our feet felt cold, as though the very earth was rejecting our presence. Each step sent a shiver up my spine, and I couldn't shake the feeling that we were intruding on something ancient and sacred, something that did not want us there. The weight of countless unseen eyes pressed down on us, watching, judging. It was an oppressive sensation, as if the darkness itself was alive and aware of our every move. I could almost hear the whispers of those unseen watchers, their voices a faint, chilling murmur in the back of my mind. We had stumbled upon something ancient and evil, I realized, something that should have remained buried. The realization hit me like a physical blow, and I felt a deep primal fear take hold. This was a place of darkness and despair, a place where the shadows held secrets that were never meant to be uncovered. We needed to leave, and quickly, before the weight of those shadows consumed us entirely. Section 6, a history written in stone. As we moved closer, drawn by a morbid curiosity, we noticed the skeletal remains scattered around the base of the structure. Pickaxes and shovels lay discarded as if dropped in haste. The bones were old, brittle with time. Some were even fused with the rock, a testament to the horrifying end these miners had met. These men had found something down here, something that had cost them their lives. A chilling thought struck me. Were we destined to share their fate? We pressed on, our footsteps echoing in the vast chamber. The air grew colder, the green light casting grotesque shadows that danced on the walls. Section 7, Don't Look Back. A sudden noise from the tunnel behind us shattered the silence, a scraping sound like something heavy being dragged across the rock. "What was that?" Mark hissed, spinning around. "Don't look back," I said, my voice a strained whisper. "Just keep moving." But it was too late. Mark had already turned, his eyes wide with terror. He opened his mouth to scream, but no sound emerged. Something was moving in the shadows, something dark and shapeless. It slithered towards us, its movements unnervingly fluid. Section 8, Trapped in the Earth's Grip. The title itself sent shivers down my spine, a premonition of the terror that awaited us. Panic surged through me, raw and primal. It was the kind of fear that grips you by the throat and refuses to let go, making every breath a struggle. I grabbed Mark's arm and pulled him along, our boots pounding on the uneven ground. Each step felt like a desperate attempt to outrun the inevitable. "Run!" I shouted, my voice echoing through the chamber. The sound bounced off the walls, amplifying the urgency in my tone. But the darkness was closing in, the air growing thick and heavy. It was as if the very atmosphere was conspiring against us, making each step more laborious than the last. It felt like the mine itself was trying to swallow us whole. The walls seemed to close in, the ceiling lowering as if the earth was reclaiming its own. We stumbled and fell, scrambling to our feet, the sound of our pursuer growing ever closer. The unseen danger was relentless, a constant reminder of our peril. The green light pulsed, bathing the chamber in a sickly glow that revealed the true horror of our situation. We were trapped. The light seemed to mock us, highlighting our vulnerability. The way we came was blocked by the writhing darkness, the exit lost in the shadows. Every direction seemed to lead to more uncertainty, more fear. We were lost in a labyrinth of despair with no clear path to safety. Section 9. The darkness consumes. Mark screamed again, a high-pitched wail that echoed off the stone walls. He was frozen in place, his eyes fixed on something behind me. I didn't dare look back. I could feel the darkness breathing down my neck, its icy touch seeping through my clothes. "John, help me!" I yelled, grabbing Mark's arm and trying to pull him along. But it was no use. The darkness had him now, tendrils of shadow wrapping around his legs, his torso, his throat. His screams were cut off abruptly, replaced by a sickening gurgle. I knew then that there was no escape. The mine had claimed another victim, its hunger insatiable. Section 10. Silence. I closed my eyes, surrendering to the inevitable. The darkness was not just around me, it was within me, seeping into every corner of my mind. The darkness enveloped me, cold and suffocating. It was as if the very air had been sucked out of the room, leaving me gasping for breath. But instead of pain, there was only silence. A silence so profound, it was almost deafening, pressing against my eardrums with an unbearable weight. An oppressive, unending silence that stretched on for an eternity. Time lost all meaning in that void, each second blending into the next. No sound, no light, no sensation, just an endless expanse of nothingness, where even my thoughts seemed to be swallowed by the void, just the crushing weight of nothingness. And then a voice, whispering my name. It was faint at first, almost indistinguishable from the silence. It was close now, right next to my ear. The whisper grew louder, more insistent, as if it was trying to break through the barrier of silence. Its breath was cold, smelling of damp earth and decay. The scent was overwhelming, filling my nostrils and making me feel nauseous. "You can't hide forever," it hissed. The words sent a shiver down my spine, a reminder of the inescapable presence that haunted me. I opened my eyes to an abyss of black. The voice was gone, but the silence remained, more oppressive than ever. The only sound was the frantic pounding of my own heart. Each beat echoed in the silence, a stark reminder of my own existence. The mine had released me for now, but the darkness had left its mark, a lingering presence that I could not shake off. But I knew the truth. The darkness was not just a place. It was a part of me. It had seeped into my very soul. It would never let me truly escape. No matter how far I ran, it would always be there, lurking in the shadows. It was a part of me now, the darkness within mirroring the darkness without. I was alone, lost in the silence that was now my constant companion, a reminder of the void that lay within.